My name is Will, and the sprawling suburbs of Houston, Texas, form the backdrop of my childhood. Even as a young boy, I felt a distinct sense of being different, a subtle discord between myself and the other children my age. My affinity for the color purple, for instance, felt like a transgression in the hyper-masculine environment of my Texan boyhood. Imagine an 8-year-old boy in Houston, a city pulsating with football fervor and cowboy bravado, unabashedly declaring purple as his favorite. It was a quiet rebellion, a whisper of individuality in a chorus of conformity. And then there were the shorts. I favored shorter styles, a preference that, in the context of youthful innocence, shouldn't have raised an eyebrow. Yet, I recall playing soccer one sweltering afternoon, the Texas sun beating down mercilessly, and the other boys on my team making snide remarks about the inseam of my shorts. I never quite grasped their discomfort. My logic was simple and pure. Purple is my favorite color, and these shorts make me happy. Shouldn't that be enough? My childhood was further complicated by my parents' divorce, a seismic event that reshaped the landscape of my family. As I navigated the turbulent waters of adolescence, my relationship with my father deteriorated, becoming a source of profound pain and confusion. He embarked on a campaign to mold me into his image of what a man should be, systematically attempting to erase the very essence of who I was. One memory, etched sharply in the corridors of my mind, encapsulates this struggle. I was in a grocery store with my father, a typical errand in the tapestry of suburban life. As I walked past him, my thumbs casually tucked into the back pockets of my jeans, he stopped me. His voice, usually gruff, was laced with an unusual sharpness. "That's not how men hold their hands in their jeans," he corrected, his words heavy with unspoken judgment. "Men put their hands in their front pockets, thumbs tucked in. The back pockets are for women." The implication hung heavy in the air. My natural posture, an unconscious expression of self, was somehow wrong, a betrayal of some unspoken masculine code. When I was 11, maybe 12, my father made the decision to move out of state, a decision that irrevocably altered the custody arrangement. The familiar rhythm of every other weekend visits was replaced by longer, more extended periods, culminating in a grueling 42-day stretch during the summer. The stark contrast between my life in bustling, urban Houston and his new home in rural Colorado was jarring. He had relocated to a tiny, isolated town, a world of solar power, well water, and an almost unsettling quiet. The vast, open landscapes of Colorado felt oppressive in their isolation, a stark contrast to the vibrant energy of Houston. Compounding the isolation was my father's descent into the suffocating grip of alcoholism. His days were a blur of intoxication, from the first drink in the morning to the last at night. Midday, he would often indulge in frozen drinks, usually margaritas. We didn't have an ice maker, so we relied on ice cube trays, those small, plastic vessels that held the promise of cool relief. I can still vividly recall the acrid, pungent taste of his alcohol seeping into the ice. It was so strong that even if you just took a cube from the tray, put it in a glass of water, and took a sip, it tasted and smelled like pure tequila. The memory is visceral, a bitter taste that lingers even now. His alcoholism fueled a pattern of emotional and psychological abuse, a constant barrage of criticism and attempts to control me. He wanted to reshape me, to mold me into his idealized version of masculinity. He wanted me to be what he thought a man should be, a reflection of his own insecurities and unmet expectations. The summer before my senior year of high school, a seemingly ordinary phone call became a pivotal turning point in my life. We were discussing summer plans, the logistics of my visit. I had started working, and I asked my father if I could shorten my stay or perhaps split it into 2 shorter periods so I wouldn't have to take a month and a half off from work. His response was a flat, unequivocal no. In that single word, something shifted within me. The scales fell from my eyes, and I saw the truth for what it was. Everything my father was doing, the abuse, the hurtful words, the constant attempts to control me, it all stemmed from his own selfishness. He wasn't thinking about me, about what was best for me. He was thinking only of himself. In that moment of clarity, I realized I had a choice. I didn't have to change for him. I didn't have to listen to him. I didn't have to endure his abuse any longer. So I told him. I told him what I wanted. I told him I didn't want to go visit him that summer. And for the first time, I articulated the pain he had inflicted upon me, the deep wounds of his abuse. It was the first time I truly advocated for myself. He didn't take it well. He told me I didn't have a choice, that it wasn't up to me. He cited the court order, the legal obligation that bound me to these visits. I stood my ground. "You'll have to cuff me to take me," I replied, my voice trembling but firm. That phone call marked the end of our relationship as it had been. My eyes were opened, and I could no longer pretend that things could go back to the way they were. It was the last meaningful conversation I had with my father before he passed away. That experience, though painful, ignited a fire within me. I realized that many people don't have the tools, the confidence, the ability to advocate for themselves. They lack the skill set, the resources, or the support to stand up for what they believe in. And that realization inspired me to dedicate my life to helping others find their voice. Today, I'm an attorney, and some of the most rewarding cases I work on involve members of the queer community. I have the privilege of helping asylum seekers, individuals fleeing unimaginable horrors, unimaginable torture, to find safety and security in a new land. These people are often persecuted for simply being who they are, for daring to live authentically. It's a true honor to use my skills, my privilege, to help them build new lives, lives free from fear and oppression. Every time I work on a case like this, I'm transported back to that traumatic phone call with my father. And I'm filled with gratitude that I can help others find the strength to advocate for themselves, just as I learned to do. So, my message is this: don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to be unapologetically yourself. Embrace your individuality. Celebrate your uniqueness. And when you reach that point, when you've found the courage to be true to yourself, especially if you're a member of the queer community, don't be afraid to stand up for others. Use your voice to amplify the voices of those who are marginalized and oppressed. Be a beacon of hope, a champion for justice, and a fierce advocate for equality. The world needs your authentic self, your passion, and your unwavering commitment to making a difference.